welcome to this live. So, we have some major events happening astrologically at this time. And astrology is basically an expression of energy. So, meaning we have major energetic events that are happening at this time. Don't bother with astrology unless you understand that principle. It's just a way of understanding energy, but it's not a substitute for that work in and of itself. So, having said that, right now, what we are seeing is a very powerful activation that's going on with the sun. The sun is at 29 degrees of Capricorn right now, and it is trining Sedna. Now, Sedna is, for those of you who don't know about her, she's very much a myth, or rather a mythological figure from the Inuit tradition and traditions in that area, about a woman who effectively gets betrayed by her male progenitor, and he effectively, causes her death. And she's falling into the dark water. She tried at first to hold on to the boat that she was in, and he chops off her fingers, throws them in after her. She goes into the water and becomes a great goddess in and of herself. So Satna very much deals with the wounds that have been inflicted upon the feminine by the patriarchy, but it is also important to note that there can also be a toxic matriarchy that is also capable of doing all of this. But effectively, Saturn and Taurus brings up the quality of the wound within the body. So you really need to be paying attention to your body right now. What is it saying? What requires your attention? And how does whatever action you need to take have to do with your long term vision, long term goals, long term whatever it is that you want to do? Now, that's the Sun trining Sadhana. Also, today we see the Sun conjunct Pluto, which is a major alignment. Now, Pluto is nothing to be scared of. Anyone who tells you that you need to be scared of Pluto does not understand Pluto. There is no life in which everything is a constant. There's always going to be an up, there's always going to be a down. And that up down differentiation comes from humanity holding on to a certain ideal of comfort that doesn't really match spiritual reality. So when you have the Sun conjunct Pluto, what you have is, if you have not done the due diligence that you need to do, or rather if you're not aware of the work that you need to do, this is a time where that Sun Pluto conjunction is going to be bringing up stuff out of the roots of you that you have not yet been made aware of. Which, given the fact you're following me, is unlikely, but you never know, it might be a new subscriber. So effectively, with the Sun Pluto conjunction, look at what comes up in terms of your work, in terms of your relationship with ancestry, in terms of your relationship with power. Maybe there's something you need to shift. Maybe there's something you need to walk away from. That really depends on your path and journey. And all of this happening today is happening alongside some other major activations. We see Eros at 26 degrees of Pisces. We see Thereus at 26 degrees of Virgo. We see Venus very close to the galactic center at 26 degrees of Sagittarius. So whilst the Sun is moving out of Capricorn as per the Western tropical zodiac, we also see Eros, Venus, and Thereus lit. Whatever processing you have to do in terms of your body, in terms of trauma, in terms of the wounds of the patriarchy and the way in which you currently relate to the superstructure, aka manifest reality of existence, some of these questions will also be tying into other decisions you are making in your life, especially in terms of your relationships, especially in terms of who you choose to be intimate with, especially in terms of how you choose to open your field, whether it's sexually, energetically, or both. So there may be a relationship between these two themes that are happening at this time. And with Thereus, it is an absolute must to look at the potential backdoor that can arise. So all of this is still a precursor, today is still a precursor to what is coming tomorrow. Tomorrow, the 21st of January, we are going to be seeing a major shift. And of course, that is going to be Pluto re-entering the sign of Aquarius. Now, we've had a little taste of Pluto in Aquarius, and we knew how fast the world was already changing in terms of major restructuring of jobs. AI exploded all over the place. And we've had, some time with Pluto and Capricorn to also pull back and to see what really matters and what we need to take from this wave of new energy that's about to come in, but in a way that actually can coexist with the structures that have already been created. So with Pluto re-entering Aquarius, we're going to have some time in really exploring more of that new energy that is going to be coming in. So those are massive, massive changes. Changes that have to do with technology, changes that have to do with the way you think about groups, the way you think about soulmate connections, the way you think about your ideals, the way you interact with your own mind and its consciousness to the higher mind, so to speak. There are many changes that will be happening at the mental level. So the work that is coming up today foreshadows a much larger shift that is happening. And because Venus is involved with Eros and Thereus together in alignment, a lot of the long-term path that you're going to be setting is also going to relate directly to your choice in terms of relationships and intimacy and ideals of health and service. So it may not all look like, okay, how does this lead to that? That is something that would be seen in hindsight. So pay attention to whatever it is that comes up now. And if it looks too shiny, if it looks too sparkly, if it sounds too good to be true, you really need to think things through before you commit. Because the 21st of January also sees Venus conjunct the galactic center and Eros squaring the galactic center with Thereus in aspect to all of them, which means that this is a time where our relationships on these matters will surely and in a very significant way change our relationship with what we see as our path. So for example, in some cases, I can't read for people because their energies are so intertwined with their partners in certain types of relationships. Whether it's healthy or unhealthy depends on the relationship. So, and to do a reading for them, I would actually have to consider both charts. So those are ways in which the people whom you choose to journey with, especially in an intimate capacity, can absolutely change the direction of the path. And that's the key take-home message right now. So be very, very wary with what comes up today and tomorrow. By the word wary, I mean don't be afraid of it, but do your due diligence and try not to jump into anything that looks too good to be true. So, another thing I do see coming up tomorrow is Neptune at 25 degrees of Pisces, sextile a body called Hylanome. Hylanome is effectively someone who couldn't handle the grief of the death of a partner, Silaris, and she jumps on the spear that he has run into by accident and died on a spear, and she jumps on the spear to kill herself as well, which is not the happiest alignment, but Hylanome and her partner were extremely in love, and she could not handle his death. So when you see Hylanome come up, it is often a time to be looking at where we may still be carrying the grief of loss, and where that unprocessed grief opens the back doors to, energetic predation, parasitism, hooks, and codependent patterns. So if something like that is trying to push you into making a spiritual choice or decision, that is not going to be good for you in the long term. And given all of the other activations to Eros, Venus, and Thereus, this is something you really need to look at right now. So that is a quick heads up I wanted to give all of you, and hopefully that is enough as you navigate this big shift. And as always, as Thereus is concerned, you need to make sure that you take care of your day-to-day details. So, don't take anything for granted. Take it one step at a time. Try to keep your environment clean, keep your body clean, eat light, and see what happens.